Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Atpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we're continuing in the 10th chapter, and Lord Krishna is sharing with Arjuna his divine glories, his vibhuti, and how what the self manifests as the best of the best. And this is mystic symbolism. And so we wanted to touch how this actually has meaning in our lives. And we looked at the whole idea of what we call in the West aesthetic theology. How is it that beauty does something to my mind? When I hear beautiful music, or I see a beautiful painting, or see a fantastic performance. I was watching Dame Judi Dench, do Shakespeare's sonnets on YouTube. And it stopped my mind. So when we're overcome, when we're awed by the beauty, this great awe, joy that we feel, that's taste of the self. So beauty can do that for us. It's one of the things in nature that does. Another way to look at it is when egoism gets out of the way, then the power of the infinite can come through us. I think I told the story last week about Jesus walking along the road. He's talking with the disciples, and a woman with an issue of blood comes up behind him, touches his garment, and he turns and looks and says, "Who has touched me?" For power had gone out of him. He felt the Shakti just leave. Healed her. Or it can be something as mundane as watching Steph Curry, one 3-pointer after another. He's in a zone. It's not always there. So we see it in athletics. We see it in music. The composer Mozart used to say, I write music the way a sow pisses. He was a very earthy fellow. Mm-hmm. But if you are in a farmyard and you watch pigs, they don't pay any attention. They go chomp, 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 chomp. Just kind of happening. And music would just come out of him like a sow urinating. Just out comes all this glorious stuff. So what does it mean for you and me when we get out of the way as he goes? That this divine manifestation, this vibhuti, can come through us. So we want to be very clear when he says here, among mountains I am Meru. Well, that's the biggest and the most important. There's no Krishna in Mount Shasta. No Krishna in Mount Diablo. No, it doesn't mean that. Krishna is everywhere. But it's a way of articulating how we access power, the glory, the vibhuti of the infinite. Any questions on this? So what verse are we on? We're in the midst of this description, lists of this stuff.
Number 25, and we're starting with japa.
Oh, yes. So let's repeat verse 25. We stopped in the middle of it. So will you do 25 again, please, Deepa?
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maharshrinam Briguraham Giramasyemak Aksharam Yajnanam Japa Yagyosmi Stavaranam Himalaya. Among the great rishis, I am Brigu. Among words, I am the one-syllabled Om. Among sacrifices, I am the sacrifice of silent repetition. Among immovable things, the Himalayas.
So we did the first two last week. So among sacrifices or ascetic practices, I am japa. What is japa? Japa is the silent repetition of a mantra, a sacred word or phrase. Most spiritual traditions have some form of this. Of course, in Hinduism, we have a wealth of powerful mantras. If you do not have a mantra, I'll give you one. Just let me know. There's a practice in the Eastern Orthodox tradition based around the Jesus prayer of the heart. It's usually done in your mother tongue. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. And you repeat it just the same way we do Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, or Jai Shri Hanuman, Jai Shri Hanuman. Within Sufism, there's Allahu, Allahu, Allahu. There are other ones. So Swamiji used to tell this story. Did I tell the story about the fellow on the beach with the bottle? Yes, no? Okay. So this fellow's on the beach. And in the sand that's washed up on the shore is this decorated glass bottle. Looks very Persian. So he sits there and he starts to just dust the sand off of it. And then out of the bottle springs a genie. Genie says, I will do anything you want me to do. But if you don't tell me to do something, I'm going to eat you. He said, give me $1 million. Pile of money gets there. Build me a palace. Builds a palace. Get me a yacht to sail around the world. He says, I'm running out of things to ask this genie to do. How am I going to keep him from eating me? And then he has this idea. I want you to create a pole. And I want you to climb up the pole and then down the pole. And then up the pole and down the pole. And keep doing that until I tell you I need something. So the genie does the pole, goes up and down, and up and down. And he didn't need him because he was busy going up and down the pole. Well, of course, the genie is my mind, which is incredibly powerful. It can manifest virtually anything. But if I don't give it a task to do, it will turn on me and eat me. What about yesterday? Oh, that was so terrible. How could I have done that? Oh, I'm so full of shame. Or tomorrow, oh, I'm so worried. What if 10 years from now the stock market crashes? I won't have enough to retire. What am I going to do? All these regrets for the past, concerns for the future. No, I'm sure none of you ever have any trouble with the genie of the mind going blah, wanting to eat you. Am I right? So what do we do to keep the mind from Ch.10, from worry, from ruminating over past actions or projecting worry and fear into the future? The pole going up and down is japa. So through your day, if your mind starts to afflict you with negative or worrying thoughts, Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Shivaya. Yeah, but what about that damn battle? Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Until it's needed. Then when you're at work and you need to work, you work. So you give the genie something to do. It is so simple. The king of yogas and of all the various practices, here Krishna says it's the king. It's the pinnacle of practice. It is most useful. Any thoughts on this? Who here uses japa on occasion?
What is japa?
Japa is the silent repetition of a mantra. And again, it almost doesn't matter. There's a contemporary Catholic monk, Thomas Keating, who's been one of the monks who's endeavored to restore the contemplative prayer tradition. within Catholicism, basically going to Buddhism and bringing it back. But he bases his centering prayer, they call it. And on a little book called The Cloud of Unknowing, where the author of The Cloud says, take a word like love or peace. He has a good one. Help. It's not a great mantra. Help. God help me. Just help. Turns the mind to the infinite. Does not have to be in a foreign language. Can be. Sanskrit is one of the power languages in the world. There are others. English really isn't one of them. But it doesn't matter. Any thoughts on the use of japa? And what was the last one in this verse? There was one more practice after japa.
Among the immovable, I am the Himalayas.
Yes. So the Himalayas, actually, they're quite movable. They're some of the newest mountains in the world. But they didn't know that back in the old-timey times. But they were high and they were immovable. So again, the highest of the highest, the best of the best, the most beautiful of the most beautiful. Next verse.
Just a sec. Let me turn the page. Ashwatha sarva vrikshanam devarshinam cha narada gandharvanam chitraratha siddhanam kapilo munihi. Among all the trees, I am the Ashwatha tree. Among divine rishis, Narada. Among Gandharvas, Chitraratha. Among the perfected ones, the Muni Kapila.
Yes. So the Ashwatha tree, we get this tree in Katha Upanishad. This is the tree that has its roots above and its branches below. Some people think it was a reference to the banyan tree, but it's mythological. The idea it is the tree of life. And even though we can't say that there's a spatial relationship between heaven and earth, the infinite and the material, it is often depicted as the heavens above and the earth below. So when we say that the tree of life have its roots above, it means the root of everything. It's ultimately in Brahman. And then out pictures as name and form. And then did he say of the rishis that he's Narada?
Of the divine rishis.
Yes. Oh, Narada. He's a really wonderful dude. He's known as the great lover of the Lord. And there's a wonderful scripture called the Narada Bhakti Sutra. Who here has studied that text? Oh, we have to do that one again. And it's about how to practice prema, bhakti, how to love the infinite. We're going to get a hint of that in Kena Upanishad. Because in the beginning, what I do is I worship Lord Krishna, or I worship Vishnu, or I worship Jesus, or I worship Allah, or I worship Avalokiteshvara, one of the Buddhas. But Kena says, It is not that which you worship here. What you're looking for, what you're devoted to, you are looking with. This is the thunderous message of the Narada Bhakti Sutra. What's the next idea?
Among Gandharvas, Chitraratha.
I don't know what those references are. Do any of you know the mythological references?
No.
It's probably in Swamiji's commentary, so I recommend you look at it. What's the next idea?
Among the perfected ones, the Muni Kapila.
Yes, a great, great saint. But it could have been any one of the great saints. All knowers of Brahman know the same thing. Modern times, we would say Ramana Maharshi or Ananda Mahima. Next verse.
There's two together, I think.
All right.
Ucce Shravassamashwanam Vidhi Mamamrutodbhavam Ayudhanamaham Rajam Dhenunamasmi Kamadhuk Prajanaschasmi Kandarpa Saparnamasmi Vasuki Sarpanamasmi Vasuki, sorry. Know me among horses as Uchchaishravas, born of Amrita, among lordly elephants, the Airavat, and among men, the king. Among weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Among cows, I am Kamadhuk. I am Kandarpa, the cause for offspring. Among serpents, I am Vasuki.
So these earlier references, I confess, I do not know the mythological references. Ones I can share with you, the Kamadhenu, the Kamadhuk, is the milch cow of desire. So that you milk the cow, you get everything you want. Vasuki is the serpent that I think where Lord Shiva swallows his poison. Isn't that the legend? Yes, no?
I'm not sure.
Blue neck, that's why he's called blue neck.
This says he's an adornment on Shiva's ring finger.
These are what?
An adornment on the
Or
finger.
an adornment.
Also, he's the king of Nagas.
Yes, king of the snakes. King of the snakes. But again, the whole idea of all of these is the ultimate of whatever you can think of is the divine. Going on.
Anantaschasmi naganam Varuno yadasamaham Pitrunamarya chasmi Jamasamyamatamaham. I am Ananta among Nagas. I am Varuna among water deities. I am Aryama among the ancestors. And I am Yama among controllers.
Yes. So again, this pinnacle of pinnacles, I think the last one is the most interesting. Who is Lord Yama?
Death.
Yes. Yama means to control. So we have the yamas and niyamas in Raja Yoga. These are the ways in which we control ourselves. Greatest controller of all is death. How did the universe finally control Hitler? whatever out of control or what we might perceive of as an evil person or thing in the world, don't worry, they will die. Oh. Next verse.
Sorry, my pages are stuck. Just a second. Prahyalaadaschasmi daityanam kala kalayatamaham mriganam cha mrigendroham venatayescha pakshinam. I am Prahalad among Daityas, time among reckoners, the lord of beasts or lion among animals, and Vainateya or Garuda among birds.
So Garuda is the mythical bird that takes us to the infinite. Garuda has two wings, Viveka and Vairagya. Those are how we get to the infinite. Backing up, I don't think we need to go deeply into these. All of these are simply superlatives in the various mythologies. Going on.
Pavanamasmi Ramashastru-bhritamaham Jashanam Makaraschasmi Strotasas Samasmi Janavi. Among purifiers, I am the wind. Among warriors, I am Rama. Among fishes, I am the shark. Among rivers, I am the Ganges.
Yeah. Again, this idea of being superlative, of being the best of the best. The idea is when we see these things, we are awed by the magnificence, the beauty, stops our minds. Or when these persons or beings are acting in the world without ego, the divine can come through them. That's the major idea. Next one.
Sarganamadirantashcha Madhyam Chevaham Arjuna Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam Vadaha Pravadatamaham. Among creations, I am the beginning, the middle, and also the end, O Arjuna. Among sciences, I am the science of the self, and I am the logic in all arguments.
Yes. So the beginning, the middle, and the end encompasses all of creation existing in time. And notice Brahma Vidya, this path we're on, he calls it a science, not a religion. A religion says you need to believe X, Y, and Z in order to be saved. A science says we're endeavoring to discover what's true. Here is our theorem. Here is our hypothesis. Let's see whether or not it is true. Any of you seen the movie Oppenheimer yet?
No.
The basic thing is Einstein came up with this equation, E equals mc squared. Mass and energy are interchangeable, is what he's saying. The quantity of mass to the speed of light squared equals the amount of energy that's released. That's a whole lot of energy. That was the theorem, that was the mathematics. But was it true? It was not proven until at Los Alamos. They did the first experiment of an atomic explosion. They had no idea if it would work or not. Sure did. This tiny little lump of uranium made this huge explosion. Hypothesis, develop a theorem, an experiment, and prove it. The scientific method. That's yoga. The hypothesis, the essential core of a human being and the infinite are the same thing. The theorem, practice, inquiry into the nature of yourself. See what you find. So you and I must perform the experiment. So it's called the science because marvelous. Next verse.
अक्षराणामकारोऽस्मि द्वन्द्वसामासिकस्य च अहमेवाक्षयः कालो धाताहं विश्वतो मुखः. Among letters, I am the letter A. Among all compounds, I am the dual coordinates. I am verily the inexhaustible or the everlasting time. I am the all-faced dispenser of the fruits of actions, having faces in all directions.
So the very first sound a baby makes is ah, ah, ah. It's the beginning of all speech. What was the next one after the letter ah?
Among all compounds, I am the dual coordinates, or the dual.
Yes, so I'm not quite sure why he chooses that, but in Sanskrit grammar, we have not just singular and plural. We have singular, dual, and plural. So why he says the dual, because it's in the middle, I do not know, but he does. Next idea.
I am verily the inexhaustible, or the everlasting time.
Yes. So, what is the master of all things in this world? Time. So many different ways to approach it. One of the things Swamiji used to say, America's thinks that all of people are created equal. It's not true. Yeah. It actually means ideally created equal under the law. Some people are more intelligent. Some people are born with more privilege. Some of us are born better looking. We're not born equal at all, except in one thing. Everybody gets 24 hours in a day. Nobody's cheated and gets 23. And nobody's blessed and gets 25 or 26. Time. So the great question is, what are you going to do with it? Watching Netflix, scrolling, lying in bed. Or are you going to do what you can to grasp your God-given talents and gifts. Endeavor to make the world a little bit better place for those around us and those who will come after. Because Krishna also says, all devouring die. I'm going to be 76 this year. I tell you, a lifetime goes by in a blink of an eye. It's blink of an eye. Oh my God, it's almost over. Third act of the play. Next verse.
मृत्युः सर्वहरश्चाह मुद्भवश्च भविष्यताम् कीर्तिश्रीर्वाक् च नारीणाम् स्मृतिर्मेधा धृतिः क्षमा. And I am all devouring death and the prosperity of those who are to be prosperous. Among the feminine qualities, I am fame, prosperity, speech, memory, intelligence, firmness, and forgiveness.
So here he says he's all devouring death. Everything ends. Things I like to say about life. All relationships end in death or divorce. Every job, every house, every car, every object you have will end. And we're all dying. Piece by piece. This is not a rehearsal. Don't waste your time. First idea was death. What's the next one?
The next one is the prosperity of those who are to be prosperous.
Yes. So if you have a chance, if you have the punya to be free from the fear of financial insecurity, then you will have the freedom and the time to do yoga. To a starving person, God is bread. Nobody thinks about money more than the poor. But too often, those of us who are prosperous make the acquisition of money itself as our life goal. You don't see, it's just energy. Next idea after prosperity.
Among the feminine qualities, I am fame, prosperity, speech, memory, intelligence, firmness, and forgiveness.
My suspicion is this is a grammatical reference. So Sanskrit, like many Romance languages, has masculine and feminine nouns. So we say la mesa in Spanish. We don't say a table is feminine because it's like a woman. That's just a grammatical reference. So here he has a list of qualities, which I suspect are feminine grammatically. Next verse.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what it says in the text.
Yeah.
They're feminine nouns. Brihat sama tatha samnam Gayatri chandasamaham Masanam margashirshoham Ritunam kusumakaraha. Among hymns also I am the Brihat Saman. Among meters the Gayatri am I. Among months I am parts of December to January or Margashirsha. Among seasons, I am the flowery spring.
So the Sama is the poetic Veda, and then the Gayatri mantra, that's considered one of the most foundational and beautiful. Again, all of these are to find the superlatives in various parts of life. Going on.
Dhyutum chalayatamasmi tejastejasvinamaham jyotasmi vyavasayosmi sattvam sattvatamaham. I am the gambling of the fraudulent. I am the splendor of the splendid. I am victory. I am the industry in those who are determined. I am the goodness in the good.
Yes. So if you are a crook, the pinnacle of being crooked is being a gambler. That I find interesting. So it's not all just goody-goody qualities here. But again, the superlative in everything. Going on.
I love that he mentioned gambling in the fraudulent.
Why, are you going to the casino this weekend?
No, but it's so arbitrary. Vrishni Vrishninam Vasudevosmi Pandavanam Dhananjaya Muninamapyaham Vyasa Kavinamushana Kavihi. Among the Vrishnis, I am Vasudev. Among Pandavas, I am Dhananjaya. Also among the Munis, I am Vyasa. And among the poets, I am Ushana, the great seer.
I think that's interesting that he makes references to himself. The writer of the Gita is Vyasa. So a reference there. But who's to say? Again, superlatives. Going on. Let's see if we can finish this list.
Dando Damayatamasmi Nitirasmi Jigishatam Maunam Chevasmi Guyanam Gyanam Gyanam Tamaham. Among punishers, I am the scepter. Among those who seek victory, I am statesmanship. And also among secrets, I am silence. And I am the knowledge among knowers.
Yes. So the scepter, we see this even in the West, is a symbol of rulership or kingship. And its original intention was probably something to beat somebody with, like a mace. But it then becomes the symbol of authority for a king. So the king can say, "Off with her head!" And he's able to do that. Again, very interesting superlatives of all of these. Going on.
Yachapi sarvabhutanam bijam tadaham arjuna na tadasti vina yastya anmaya bhutam characharam. And whatsoever is the seed of all beings, that also am I, O Arjuna. There is no being, whether moving or unmoving, that can exist without me.
So the point is, not only is he the superlative in everything in this world, but Krishna, consciousness, is the seed, the origin of everything moving and unmoving. Again, you are the God of your dream. First, you go to sleep, and there's that veiling of yourself as the waker. Then your one mind creates the whole dream world. Your mind is the seed of everything in the dream world. All this comes about in the same way. It's the dream of the infant. There is no place where God is absent. There is no being that doesn't have God as their core. Next verse.
नान्तोऽस्ति मम दिव्यानां विभूतीनां परं तप एष तु देशतः प्रोक्तो विभूतेर्विस्तरो मया. There is no end to my divine glories, O Parantapa, but this is but a brief statement by me of the particulars of my divine glories.
So here it is a partial list to try to give you and me, Arjuna and all of us, an idea of the omnipotence, the omnipresence, the omniscience of God in the world of name and form. We talk about Nirguna Brahman, Brahman without qualities, meaning the eternal subject, consciousness alone. But then we talk about Saguna Brahman, Brahman with qualities, meaning this entire universe. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this is verily God. In the Semitic religions, we kind of get this idea, all the good stuff is God, bad stuff, oh, that's the devil. But yoga says it's all the play of the infinite. Yet within this world of name and form, there are cosmic laws, metaphysical laws, wherein we're able to acknowledge the divine, with beauty, harmony, with peace, with love, and express the divine. When we get our little egos out of the way. That's the big point of this chapter, with all these lists. Going on, next verse.
Yadyad vibuti Srimadu jim tameva va tattadevavagachatvam mama tejoma shasambhavam. Whatever it is that is glorious, prosperous, or powerful in any being, know that to be a manifestation of a part of my splendor.
Same idea. So wherever there's excellence. So anytime someone excels in something in the world, they to some degree have started to discover spiritual principles. There was a journalist back in the 20s, I think, named Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
And do you know what I'm talking about? The book?
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich. It's a really good book.
What?
It's a great book.
It is. And, it's 100 years old. This guy was not spiritual. And I think it was Andrew Carnegie who commissioned the
Yeah.
research. Yes. So Napoleon Hill interviewed, I can't remember how many of the wealthiest and most successful magnates in the country, and to see what was common to them all. And what he discovered was the law of Sankalpa. So have you read the book?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us can you summarize what is Napoleon Hill's point?
I read it a while ago, but basically he's saying that all these very successful people have certain mental habits in common, which is that they are kind of they're thinking of abundance much before they actually acquire any material wealth. It's like their mindset is much more like about and not even just money, but more about like abundance.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if that's good to me.
The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.
Yeah.
But not only they're not all religious or spiritual,
Yeah, you're right. It's
but
not
they
about
have an
spirituality.
assumption of prosperity. And they have an assumption that their vision is going to bear fruit. They are successful in their minds before they're successful in their actions. Have I described it?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is yoga. This is the whole law of Sankalpa. Remember the law of Sankalpa? Whatever wish, will, thought, or intention consistently maintained that isn't contradicted or conflicted tends towards manifestation of rosification. Jerry Rice, one of the greatest wide receivers in the game, old 49er. Practice, 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 work, 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 so that when game day came, he was just in the zone. Joe Montana and Steve Young, the quarterbacks, knew exactly where he was going to be. Turn, that would be the football. It's the same with great dancers, great musicians. Einstein would always get the vision of some physics or mathematical idea. The totality would come first, then he'd work out the math. You're an inventor, or you're around inventors. Do you see the same thing? Mm-hmm. So this is the idea that this chapter is trying to teach us. Now, like for a dancer, I've been watching some old Baryshnikov videos on YouTube. Just an incredible artist. He's my age. I've kind of watched him with me, growing up and stuff when he defected and all that sort of stuff. Work and work and work as a dancer to find a place where you don't work anymore. You just watch it in his movie Turning Point. He does 11 pirouettes in street shoes. None of the dancers, I never really did more than 4. Or Amini, wonderful, wonderful classical Indian singer. You study singing till you find a place where you have no effort when you sing. And then the tone is natural and free and beautiful and can color. Doesn't matter the field of human endeavor. When I was studying voice, I had a voice teacher tell me, Jim, your singing is self-obsessed. That's why you get stage fright. You need to have your mind on the music. in your mind on what you want to communicate to the audience. Fascinating. That's fascinating. So even though this is just a long list of superlatives, there are important principles of yoga hidden within it. Any thoughts about the teaching? All right, next verse. How many more in this chapter, Deepa?
Not too many more, actually, just 2-3 pages left now, actually.
I think we'll be able to finish this chapter tonight.
Yeah. अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहमिदं कृत्स्न मेकांशेन स्थितो जगत्. But of what avail to thee is the knowledge of all these details, O Arjuna? I exist supporting this whole world by one part of myself.
So Krishna is infinite and vast. One teeny tiny corner of his infinite being. The entire universe exists. Consciousness supporting it all. The divine laws pervading this world. There is no place where God is absent. Next verse.
I think that was it. I mean, I know that was it. It ends here. Om Tat Siditi Srimad Bhagwad Gita Supanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjun Samvade Vibhuti Yogo Nam Dashamodhyayah. Thus, in the Upanishads of the glorious Bhagwad Gita, in the science of the eternal, in the scripture of yoga, in the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, the 10th discourse ends entitled The Yoga of Divine Glories.
Vibhuti, yes. All right, well, we're ending a bit early tonight. Does anyone have comments or questions about your practice? I think we'll wait till next week to start the 11th chapter. All right, we'll end here then. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all.